Let's start at the absolute beginning. Let's really walk through this with baby steps to begin with, just so it's super clear what it is we're actually looking at and why we need it. What is level 2? What does that even mean? What's level 1? Does anyone even know what that means? So let's start there. Let's start by understanding what level 1 is before I go ahead and explain what level 2 is. Now, the chances are you've already looked at level 1, you've already used level 1, you're already incredibly familiar with it. You just might not have heard it called level 1 before. I'm going to open up HL's website now, simply because it's very cleanly laid out. It's very easy to see the data. So it's a really good example when you're explaining something like this. So let's open up HL now. Okay, and then when we go to the HL site, we hover over the tab here and search for a company. I'm going to pick on a particular company. I'll explain why later, but for now, we're going to look at Duke Royalty. Okay, and here we are on Duke Royalty's page on HL's site, and you'll see it's giving us a sell price and a buy price. And it's also telling us any change as well in that price in comparison to yesterday. Now that information that you see there, that is level 1. That's what 98, 99% of retail traders use when they're looking at a price for a company. They'll look at this level 1 data, not necessarily on HL's site. It could be on any number, hundreds of sites out there that quote level 1 data throughout the trading day. Okay, and what this information is telling us, it's saying the best sell price for this particular share this time of the day is 42 pence, and the best buy price is 43 pence. We can touch a little bit more on what I mean by best later on. But for now, I assume you're relatively familiar with this level 1 information. This means it's going to cost you 43 pence to buy the share. And then if you bought it and immediately decided, I don't want it anymore, you tried to sell it, someone would buy it from you at 42 pence. So you're at a disadvantage straight away, which you should be familiar with. So that's all the level 1 information really tells us. It doesn't really show us any more than that. And by virtue of the fact we know this is the best buy price and the best sell price, it must mean there are other buy prices and sell prices in the market. And that's exactly what we can see with level 2. And I'm going to pull up level 2 side by side here against HL's level 1. It'll help you understand the difference, help you understand with all this extra data that comes with level 2. So let's do that now. Let's go back to ADVFN and let's find Duke Royalty on ADVFN's website. Now I'm going to click on monitor. There's a number of different ways you can do this. I'm going to use the monitor, which is essentially a watch list. I happen to have them on a watch list here. So I'm just going to click on the ticker Duke on the left hand side there, and it'll take me straight to the level 2 page. And now let's go side by side. Great, here we go. We've got side by side comparison. Now the first thing you'll notice is that on the right hand side here, level 2, we've got the sell price of 41.50 and the buy price of 42.50. If we compare that with the sell price of 42 and 43 on HL, you'll notice they're not the same. That's obviously slightly confusing. Why is that? Well, level 2 here is the live order book as it stands at this very moment in the day. It's a live view of the order book. Level 1 data, and most companies that offer level 1 data operate like this, is always slightly behind. You'll notice here we've got the disclaimer data delayed by at least 15 minutes. And that's why these two aren't the same. If I refresh HL's website now, it might update in line with the level 2 information, but it might not, depending on how far behind it is. Just refresh the website and it's not changed. So it's still behind here. So that's the first takeaway, really. The first main takeaway you'll notice. The difference between the two is that you just got that instant real-time price data that you don't get with level 1. And when you get used to level 2, you can find it very difficult to just going back to level 1. Because 15 minutes in the market is a long time. If you've traded much yourself, you'll know that a lot can change in 15 minutes, particularly in the early hours and towards the end of the day. And when share volatility increases, 15 minutes is a long time. So you really get extra peace of mind, I find, when you can actually look at the source of the truth with level 2. I can tell you that's exactly what the price is right now. And when you look at this level 1, you're never quite sure if you're really seeing the true market prices. And of course it says by at least 15 minutes. So it could be a lot more. Okay, so there are different companies out there that offer level 1 data. And I know if you often log into HL, you do get quicker prices, but they're not down to the microsecond like they would be with level 2. Now, if we just continue with our side-by-side comparison, we identified we've got the sell and the buy, which we can see here. Obviously, they're slightly different. But then we've got lots of other information as well, which we don't seem to see on this page. So let's go through now, step by step, breaking each component down of the level 2 order book, so you understand the differences and why they're there and why they're relevant. Okay, let's start at the very top of this middle section here on ADVFN's level 2. Everything around the outside of this main section, so all this stuff around here, let's just ignore that for now. Let's pretend it doesn't exist. We're just going to focus on this main section in the middle of the page. We're going to work our way from top to bottom. So we're going to start with this red bar across the top here. This is what's known as the daily performance bar, and it gives you a really quick summary of the share's performance for that particular day. No surprise there. Now, first thing we can see is the current price. It's saying 42. You'll notice that sits between the sell and the buy price. Truthfully, I never really look at that because I'm much more interested. If you have level 2, you're really interested in what's the current sell and buy, which you can see here. So I don't think that that's particularly useful, and I never really look at it. But that's just telling you current price between the spread. Next, we've got this down arrow. What that means is the share price is down based on yesterday's close. How much is it down by? Well, it's down by a penny. We can see that indicated here. And what does that mean in terms of a percentage of the share price? We can see that indicated here. So 1 pence, 2.3%. Then all the way over on the right hand side, we've got this vol, which stands for volume, and that's how many individual shares have exchanged hands on this trading day. So we've got 791,000 on this day. Then of course, we mentioned it was red. Why is it red? Well, it's just an indicator that the share price is down on yesterday's close. If it were grey, that would mean there's no change at all. And if it's blue, which we'll see later on as we go through the course, that means the share price is up on yesterday's close. So that's the daily performance bar, just to give you a summary. Really useful at a glance to see if a share price is up or down and by how much. So that is genuinely useful. Also, the volume is useful as well. As you get to know a share, you'll notice when there's significantly more or less volume than there is usually. And you can use that information to benefit you. You'll notice that this is also indicated here on the level 1 side. We have this volume. Okay, again, it's slightly behind, but important to note that it is also available on level 1. But this is only really useful, like I say, when you really get to know a share. You get to know what sort of volumes are normal for that particular share. So that's the performance bar. Now we're going to jump down to, we're going to miss out this middle bar here, and we're going to go down to the yellow bar. This is what's known as the touch bar. Now you should be familiar here with the sell and the buy, also more commonly known as the bid and the offer. As we mentioned here, the bid and the offer is real time, unlike it is here on the level 1 data on HL. So that's the best bid price, which I'll explain shortly, and best sell price. Now we'll focus on these numbers lower shortly, but for now just note that this 4150 is the same as this top 4150 here, and this 4250 is the same as this 4250 at the top here. But don't worry too much about that for now. Then on the left hand side we have this 20,000, and over on the corresponding right hand side, so the offer side, we have 10,000. Far left we've got 4 and then 1. So what do these numbers mean? Well, let's start with the outside numbers. So we've got 4 over on the left and 1 over on the right. Now 4 means that at this bid price of 41.50, there are 4 individual buyers in the market. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're all equally willing to buy shares at 41.50. You see that all the way down. So that's what that number means. It's just grouped those 4 together, and that is incidentally why they're all the same color. And how many shares is each of those individual entities looking to buy? Well, you can see indicated here it's 5,000 each, which you sum those up equals 20,000. It's the same over on the right hand side, except for this time there's just one seller happy to sell at 42.50, and then this 10,000 is that individual entity's quantity that they're willing to sell at 42.50. So that's why there's just one blue bar across the top here. That's why there's 4 on the left hand side. And so that colouring is just another way to indicate this count for 1, and then the volumes as well. Now you might be thinking, why have these numbers on the touch bar? Why are they significant enough to sit alongside the current bid and the offer? And the reason they're significant is because if there's significantly more on one side or the other, so let's say instead of 20,000 this was 200,000, and this here was still left at 10,000, what we could glean from that is there's many more buyers in the market than there are sellers. And simple economics, what does that mean? There's lots of buyers and less sellers. That means the sellers can raise their price knowing that the buyers are going to be scrapping over the supply that's available. So if the sellers can raise their price, that's good for a share price. That's going to push the share price up. And conversely, if you think about it the other way, so if this wasn't 10,000 but 100,000 plays 20,000, that means there's lots more volume on the sell side. You banded all those sellers together equals a lot more than on the buy side. Then that means those sellers are going to struggle to sell all of that supply to the lower demand on the buy side. And again, basic economics, that's going to push the sell price down, therefore lowering the shares price. So that's why they're significant enough to sit alongside this touch bar here. And just to touch on the quantity of traders, the reason that's significant is because in my somewhat simplistic description just a few moments ago, if this was 100,000 players, 20,000, but it was just one seller, that's not so much of an issue because it's just one person who's decided they want to get rid of their shares, which would obviously mean something different to if, say, there was 50 people trying to get rid of their shares, because one person can just decide to offload a whole bunch of shares. That's not necessarily indicative of fundamental changes in the market where lots of people are all trying to offload their shares. So this is why the touch bar is such an important overview of a share price, showing that volume and showing the numbers at that volume. As you learn level 2, and as you will learn level 2 as we go through this course, you'll see just how powerful that information is and why it sits right up there at the top. But if that is a little bit confusing, don't worry, there's loads more examples we're going to go through as we work our way through this. Right, now let's jump up back to this bar here. So we've got buy orders and sell orders, because there's a few things I've said there that might sound slightly confusing if you're used to and very familiar with level 1. So we've got buy orders and sell orders. Now you can basically draw a line down the middle here, and you can split this into 2 columns. So you've got all the buy orders on the left hand side here and all the sell orders on the right hand column, which is simple enough when you look at it in isolation. But if you're used to looking back over here at level 1, you'll notice it says sell on the left hand side and buy on the right hand side, which is obviously the other way around on level 2, where you've now got buy on the left hand side and sell on the right hand side. And this is a source of constant confusion for people that try and understand level 2 after being very familiar with level 1. And it's probably the single biggest reason why people just sort of don't really go any further once they get to this point, and it all seems backwards. But I'm going to do my best to explain it now. Now to explain this, I'm just going to go full screen momentarily, so there's less on the screen as we look through this example. Okay, so back to the columns. On the left hand side we've got all the buyers. Now just forget level 1 for a moment, just take what I'm saying as the truth. These here are all buyers. So if you can picture some sort of market, you've got 7 individuals here all walking around this market trying to buy one particular thing. They're all trying to buy the same thing. And how many of those things are they trying to buy individually? Well, we've touched upon that just a few moments ago. The top 4 are all trying to buy 5,000 each, and you've got this person here trying to buy 10, and then another 10 and another 5. So these are all buyers. And the nice thing about the order book is that when these People are walking around the market trying to buy thousands of these things. They're all walking around with stickers on their forehead showing you exactly how much they're prepared, the maximum amount they're prepared to buy these things at. So you can see the top four, they're all walking around this market, all saying, or with a little sticky note stuck to their forehead saying, prepared to buy 5,000, but the most I'm prepared to pay is 41.50. And this guy down here, the next best in line, is below, I'm prepared to buy 10,000, but the maximum I'm prepared to pay is just 41. The person below that wants to pay a little less, he's 40.50, and the final person is only prepared to pay 40 exactly. So as we go down the buy column, the prices get less attractive for sellers. The quantities don't matter. It's always ordered by the people or the person who are willing to pay the most for their shares. And as we go down, prices get further and further away. As we mentioned earlier, the touch bar at the top here is just representative of the best buy price, which we know is 41.50. Now I'm just going to stop here. I'm going to talk about level one. With my analogy here that we're at some sort of marketplace and all these people are walking around this market looking to buy the same thing, what they're essentially saying is, look, we are prepared to buy. We just need someone to match us on our criteria of volume and price, and we can do a deal. So when you think back to level one, how you're used to trading, you've got some shares, you already own, say, 2,000 of this particular share. I just want to sell it. I want to sell it right now. I want to sell it through my broker. How's your broker going to do that? Well, they're going to have to find a buyer. They're going to have to look in the market and go, who's willing to buy 2,000 shares? And they'll come back to you and say, yep, we found a buyer for your 2,000 shares. That's this top one here. He's willing to pay 41.50. And so that's the price that they offer you for your shares. For your 2,000 shares, they offer you 41.50. And that's why you think of it as a sell price. So if we go back to level one, here we are back at level one. That's why level one label it just to kind of almost, I don't want to say it, but almost dumb it down. That's why they label it as a sell price, because of course there has to be a buyer to buy your shares. But as far as the actual market's concerned, they're not interested in dumbing things down at all. This is actually the reality of the situation, is these are buyers. So you're thinking of it as it's a sell price from your context, because you're asking the market for a buyer, but the market's composition is always buy orders on the left. So I hope that I've explained that well. If not, perhaps just jump back and listen to it again, but I promise you it will get clearer as we go on. Hey guys, it's John. If you're interested in learning more about trading with level 2 and direct market access, I've actually put together a full walkthrough course for you. I'll put a link in the description below so you can take a look. So over 3 hours of content, I cover loads of different topics and I do lots of live trading as well. It's well worth investing your time into learning level 2 and direct market access to give you that edge that you're looking for. The course is structured in such a way that you can go through from beginning to end. It'll take you through the basic topics step by step, getting more and more involved, and we get you to a point where you can understand the more complex parts of level 2 and direct market access, and also it will enable you to look at the market signals and get a better feel for when is the right time to take action. Or of course, if you're more familiar already with level 2, you can also jump into various topics that you'll find of interest. So the course is really designed to work both ways. Learning it does take a bit of time, more time than I've got to show you on this video here. So I highly encourage you, if you are interested in level 2 and you're a stock picker, I honestly think you'll find the course invaluable. So take a look. Like I say, link in the description below. Let's get back to the video. Just while we're here, let's just refresh level 1 and let's see if that's now caught up with level 2. Yeah, there we go. Look, refreshed, and now we've got 41.50, 42.50. So now we're nicely in alignment with level 2. Still slightly behind on the volume, look. Had some trades go through. All right, let's go full screen with level 1 again. So I've explained using my probably quite poor analogy of a market here, some sort of marketplace, and these guys are all walking around the marketplace trying to buy shares of various quantities at set prices. So if we think of the right hand column, these are all people with market stalls trying to sell these things, and these quantities are essentially how many of these things they have at their respective stall. The person at the top has got a stall at the market, He's got 10,000 of these things laid out, and he's got a price ticket on each of these things saying you can buy one for 42 pence, 42.5 pence, but I have a maximum of 10,000 of them. And the next guy's got his stall out, and he's got 5,000 of them, but he says, I'm only prepared to sell at 43 pence. And then next one, again, he's got 5,000 as well. He's only prepared to sell at 43.5 pence. And as you look down for each one, they get more and more expensive. So this guy at the bottom here, he's got 5,000 of exactly the same thing, and he's saying, no, I think they're worth more. I'm only prepared to sell at 45.5 pence. So that means I can bring it back to what we were saying just at the start of this course. We talked about the best sell and the best buy price, or I like to call them the bid and the offer, just so it's not confusing as to whether you're talking about level 1 or level 2 and which side, which column we're on. But of course, if you're a buyer, so if you're on this left-hand column here and you're mingling with these people trying to buy this thing, and you're looking across to all these people who've got their stalls in the market trying to sell, you would think, well, this one at the bottom is the worst price, 45.5. And why is it the worst price? Because it's the highest. And you're looking for a bargain. You want to pay as little as possible. So that's the worst price. That's the second worst price, third, and so on and so forth, up to the best sell price of 42.50. Now let's think of it if you own a stall at this market and you're looking at all these buyers walking around mingling trying to buy your wares. We look at the very bottom of the buy column. This person's only prepared to pay 40 pence. This person 40.5 pence. This person 41 pence. And we go all the way up to the buyer who is prepared to pay the most. And so they are the best buy price. And that's how we get to what's known as the best bid and the best offer price. That's what's displayed in the touch bar here on level 2, and that's of course what is displayed on the level 1 data as well. So hopefully that clears that up. All right, and that really concludes the basics of the level 1 order book. I really hope that was useful. I really hope it went at a pace that you could understand and kind of digest that information. If you're looking to continue your learning, I would love to welcome you to my full level 2 direct market access trading course that I have over on Udemy. I'll put a link in the description below. I've got over 3 hours of content on there for you, and we go at a pace similar to what we've just seen here on YouTube. So I really walk you through the basics, and I like to keep things as simple as possible. Don't use any crazy acronyms or nothing too technical. Really want to make sure that you understand everything that I'm showing you here. We cover a lot of content, so that's really important for me. And ultimately, I just want to help you in your investing. So we go through all of the foundations. We do a lot of live trading. We look at auctions, and we do a deep dive into market makers, which is my favorite section personally. We also look at market signals, so you can see when is a good time to potentially buy or sell, looking at the full depth of the market there. And we also look at how we exit a trade with stop losses and profit taking. And of course, there's the FAQ section as well, where I cover lots of different points that come up throughout the course regularly. Don't forget, of course, over on Udemy, there is a Q&A section. So at any point during the course, if you want to, you can ask me questions directly. And I always make sure that I keep on top of those. And I make sure that I respond to every question that comes in. I've had some really nice reviews as well from others that have taken the course. So I would love to welcome you to my Udemy course and hopefully see you there. Bye for now.